What's up? This week I actually got a new bike. I got a 2016 CRF450. It's kind of crazy for me because I haven't really ridden 450s consistently since 2009 maybe, and I've never owned a fuel injected 450. It's definitely kind of different ball game for me. But I'm still gonna ride my vintage bikes a bunch. I still love two strokes. I still like my XR. I just been pretty happy to have a bike that's fuel injected that will always run, and I won't have to mess with cleaning carbs and doing all that stuff as much. So yeah, it's just nice to have one bike that this fuel injected newer bike that I don't have to mess with as much. But since I had this bike now, I've had an idea for a while where I wanted to take my XR600, it's a 1995, and then do like a comparison between that and a newer 450. And now that I have this 450, I can do it. My bike's a 2016, so there's a 21-year difference in, four-stroke innovation. There's a lot that's happened in 21 years, especially when the XR was made. That thing was just a trail bike, basically. So I have mine set up to be kind of like a four-stroke national, like kind of similar to what they'd race in the 90s or early 2000s, those four-stroke nationals. I thought it'd be cool to take some lap times, just do a little comparison and kind of how much fun I have on them, and just how they both feel when you ride them back to back. So I went to ride at Oak Hill. I took the XR600 and my new 450 out there. We got about 20 inches of rain in the last 3 weeks or so in Texas. So they tilled up the main track, so it was super deep and gnarly. I'll probably throw a little bit of GoPro footage in there. You can see the ruts and just, it was gnarly. It was a lot of fun on my 450, but on the XR, I was just kind of didn't feel like taking it out there and wadding my brains up on it. So they've got a separate track that's kind of up on a hill. It's a clay base. It's more of like a beginner style track. I think they use it for night races and stuff. But that track was actually dry and less gnarly, so I just thought it'd be more of a fair comparison to do this little test up there with the XR and the 450. To do this little test, I'm going to use an app called Lap King. It's just an app on your phone that takes all your lap times and puts it on a leaderboard. It's really cool, actually. I'm just going to ride with both bikes using Lap King and get my lap times from that to kind of do a little comparison on the upper track there at Oak Hill. So I started out riding the 450 up there on the little night track. I did 10 or 15 laps. We filmed a few clips of me riding it just to kind of put in the background of this video or whatever. It felt really good. I mean, that track's probably more built for a mini bike or a 125 or something, but still fun on a big bike. I'm really impressed with the new 450, just the throttle response and the power that those things make. I feel like they stick in corners, but that's even a few-year-old bike now, and it still feels really impressive to me. The air forks, I'm up in the air about. I may do a spring conversion on those. But overall, I really liked the bike. I felt pretty comfortable on it right away. But yeah, I did some laps there on the 450, and then I brought that in, and then I hopped on the XR, and just going from the new 450 to a 20-year-old XR600, just sitting on the thing, felt crazy after riding that 450. And I've ridden that XR600 tons of hours on that thing. When I got back on it, it felt like I was sitting on a couch, The seat's super wide, it feels low. It felt kind of crazy at first. Once I got on the track, though, the more I rode it, the more I was like, okay, yeah, I've ridden this thing a bunch. It feels normal again, But the power of that compared to the power of a new 450 is just next level. The XR feels like a 125 compared to a new 450. Still a blast to ride, don't get me wrong, but it's pretty crazy, the difference in the power. And obviously the suspension, 20-year-old XR600 still has right side up forks, which they do the job. That bike wasn't made to do what I do on it. But just for the sake of fun, I thought it'd be cool to do this little comparison. But I mean, yeah. So the suspension's a little, not nearly as good. It doesn't handle quite as good, but still a super fun bike to ride. I still can hit all the jumps. I still can do a little scrub here and there. And honestly, I think the XR corners really well still. I mean, it doesn't have that grunt like obviously like a new bike that's just gonna pull you to the moon and go over any jump in front of you. It doesn't have that, but it's still a super fun bike to ride. So the track I was riding was like I believe it was upper 130s to 140 lap times. And I did 5 laps on the 450 and took lap times, and then 5 laps on the XR and got lap times from that. And I want to say, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think that the 450 was about 5 seconds a lap faster. And on a short track, 5 seconds a lap that's quite a bit. But when you think that I'm on a 20-year-old bike that's made for trails, that was never intended for a motocross track, compared to a pretty much brand new bike that was made to be capable of riding supercross and whatever, it's actually quite impressive that I was only 5 or 6 seconds a lap slower on the XR. It's pretty obvious where I'm losing that time. I mean, I can't charge the corners as hard into the bumps. It doesn't have near the pull out of the corners and all that kind of stuff. So that's pretty obvious where I'm losing the time. But that bike is still super fun. I thought it was pretty cool to do this little comparison and just see, what 20 years of 4-stroke innovation looks like whenever you compare it to lap times. So my conclusion after riding a newer bike compared to a 20-year-old 4-stroke is that, yeah, newer bikes, a lot more capable, but you can still have fun on this old XR600. You can have fun on anything. I think XRs are pretty underrated. I think everyone loves new 450s, and there's a reason for that, because they're so easy to ride and so fast and everything else. But you don't have to have it. I think you could have an old 4-stroke or an old 2-stroke and go have just as much fun on it. So I'm glad I did this little test just to kind of see the difference, and I thought it was really cool to ride them back to back and just feel the difference so close to each other. I want to do more of these too. I think 2-stroke versus 4-stroke and old 2-strokes. I want to put as many bikes up against each other with Lap King, and just do these little Lap King challenges with as many different bikes as I can. Hopefully I'll get some of my friends to come and do it with me. A lot of my friends have cool bikes. I'd like to get them to bring their bikes, and we could ride each other's bikes and do this. So hopefully I'll get to make more of these kind of doing the same thing. But yeah, overall it's a fun day out at Oak Hill riding a couple different bikes.